Hello, Athens, and welcome to Kaleidoscope. This is a very special Kaleidoscope episode. You may see Mr. Happy there beside me, and look, it's actually Nan. And why does she have that great big smile? Because this is her last official episode of Kaleidoscope. So, oh, you think she's happy, huh? You think she's happy? But this episode of Kaleidoscope is going to be dedicated to Nan. I'm going to interview her for a little bit, minus the happy face. And then we're going to see the retrospective, and then at the end, Nan will say goodbye. I was going to say goodbye Columbus. Did you see that movie, Goodbye Columbus? Anyway, no. She'll say goodbye Athens, not Columbus. And but I think she probably will be back from time to time as a guest host because, as I said last week, I'll probably be doing guest hosts. Maybe Mr. Happy could be a guest host. What do you think? Oh, if only he could talk. So that's our plan for today. And at the very end, we're going to have a giant cookie that says, goodbye, Nan, and good luck. Oh, Mr. Happy's happy about that, I gotta say. And I don't blame him because I love these big cookies myself. And I always get them for someone anytime I can, hoping to munch on one myself. Okay, now, Nan, to get to the meat of our program today, the hot poop about
You're
Nan,
gonna get even
Michael.
With me, aren't you?
Well, not really. What I'm going to do is ask you all the things I've been curious about.
Oh.
Yeah, yes. See, I never knew Nan. I never knew anything about her until I did meet her in a writing group that we were in. And then she accosted me in the Columbus, I got Columbus in my brain, Athens Library, and asked me if I wanted to come on the show. I didn't realize she meant forever. When she asked me, I didn't know that. But here I am. So let's start. Those of you who have been faithful watchers of the show know that Nan wrote a book about her childhood. And so if you want to know about that, you can read her book, which is titled
Fallout.
Fallout.
Incest, a survivor talks to incest offenders.
Okay, so if you want to know about that, you can read the book. We're not talking about that. We're going to fast forward to what brought Nan to Athens, Ohio. So, Nan, what brought you to Athens, Ohio?
My car.
All right now.
Well, I'd been living in Gallipolis for several years, working at Woodland Centers and in Pomeroy at Woodland Centers. And I would drive the family to Athens every now and then to visit the pharmacy. And then the mental health center, the federal funding kind of dried up, and they decided they'd go to a 7-day week. I mean, a 4-day work week, and that kind of made me mad, you know. I came up all the way up to Ohio from Atlanta to get this job, and then after a while they backstep. And so I was playing bridge one day with a friend in Athens, and she was going to quit her job and go back to, finish her PhD. And she said, I'm leaving the best job I've ever had. It's just wonderful. You can do whatever you want to do, etc. And she said that was Hocking Correctional Facility.
Hmm.
So I went in and talked to them and got the job. And for when I was already living in Athens when I actually started work at Hocking and went up to the training academy and all that.
I know about that.
Yeah.
I did that too.
So I guess I moved to Athens before I started work for the prison. It's about the same distance from Athens to Pomeroy as from Gallipolis to Pomeroy, and Athens had a lot more to offer.
Yeah. Now, were your kids still with you, or were they pretty much out of school and gone at that time?
Let me try to think.
You remember them, right?
That may be hard to. I have photographs of all of them together with me on Franklin, where we moved initially. And my mother was temporarily living with me, and she was getting a little forgetful. And my daughter Sally came in the house one day and smelled gas, and she went towards the stove, and the pilot light was on and the gas in the oven was on, not lit. And she went forward instead of backward.
Oh, goodness.
Isn't
She's a
that
brave
something?
girl.
She went forward. So
I hope she went forward and blew out that pilot light.
So anyway.
Well, you know what? My mother was living with me too at one point, and she'd already had a couple strokes, so I mean, you know, she was halfway gone. And I came home one night, it was about 10 o'clock, and I walked in the back door, and I smelled this funny smell. I didn't quite know what it was, but it was odd. I knew it wasn't supposed to be, nothing was supposed to smell like that. And I had this, it was an old back porch, but somebody had enclosed it. So when you came in there, you couldn't just exactly see all the way into the kitchen, but you could see, sort of see. And I thought, what is that? And I went around and I stepped up into the kitchen, and the tea kettle was sitting, I had an electric stove, see? And the tea kettle was sitting on a burner glowing. Glowing. And I was like, oh my God, what do you do? You know? And so I got a bunch of towels and grabbed it up and I threw it out in the yard. It was so hot. I mean, I don't even know how I did it. And it had already started to melt onto the burner. So let's hope we don't do anything like this.
I know. I know. Why do you think I'm leaving Kaleidoscope?
Right? It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought. So you were here, you were working at Hocking. Now, is that when you did the incest survivor group was at Hocking? Very good. And so then, how did you find out about Access?
Well, we had the television on in the living room, and Ian, my son, said, well, I'm going out. I'll see you after a while. And 10 minutes later, he was on television. And I was dumbfounded. And that's when they had the gatherings in the old recreation center. So, and they did all kinds of things, all kinds of crazy things. And so I thought, gee, what a great tool, creative tool that is. You could do anything you wanted to. And in fact, Ken Dobo had these strange patterns going on a whole lot of the time in between other things, and it said trouble on the network. So I went down and I met Lynn Rogers, who was a honcho there, and he encouraged me to start a show. And I think maybe I named it, but almost from the beginning, it was a regular show and shot at the recreation center. And we started out with, it was called Kaleidoscope, but we started out with some pictures of the international quilt show we had, kind of to represent Kaleidoscope. So.
And when you say it was shot at the recreation center, they didn't have a building. We're in a studio now in the old Richland Avenue School. This didn't exist then. Is that right?
I don't know, but we weren't here. Before this, we were at Court Street. Mm-hmm. And before Court Street, we were at the Recreation Center, which doesn't exist anymore. They tore it down. So in between there, briefly, we were on Columbus Road, right adjacent to Reuse.
Oh, okay. Interesting. See, I didn't know all this. I didn't know that Access TV had moved around so much.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, definitely. So your idea of Kaleidoscope, why did you name it Kaleidoscope?
Well, because it was going to be different things. You turn the kaleidoscope and something else falls into place. Mm-hmm. And originally I had a lot more footage in the community than of me. I was in, I guess, Bob's, that was Super Duper or whatever, at the checkout counter, and the checkout person said, "Oh, I'd know that voice anywhere." And so my face hadn't even been on.
And is that why, and originally when Nan started this show, she wasn't Nan. She was Natasha.
How did you know that?
Oh, I have my ways. Do you remember, those of you who are my age, Natasha, we have broken into the wrong embassy. That's what it makes me think of anyway.
I thought it made me sound a little dramatic, and that's what
exotic.
I was wanting.
Yeah, a little bit exotic.
Yes.
And so, how long were you Natasha before you gave it up and became Nan?
I have no idea. I guess a year.
You decided that's too much trouble, huh?
And the first year I did spend Christmas abroad. My daughter was a, what do you call it, a nanny or something.
Au pair.
An au pair girl in Germany, and so she invited me over for Christmas, and I got a lot of footage.
Oh, I
from
bet.
There that year.
I bet.
That was '89.
Did your daughter sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
That's always handy. But I know people that have gone as nannies to different countries, and they learn from the kids. They learn the language from the kids, so it doesn't always work that way. I had a friend who went to France as a nanny, and she had these wonderful dreams of learning French, and the mother forbade her to speak a word of French to those children because she wanted them to learn English. So she went to France, and she was there, I don't even know how long, 9 months or something, and she barely learned any French at all. She was very sad about that. But not your daughter. She was okay, huh? So then you had this concept. I mean, when you started the show, you had this concept that it was going to be different shots of things in Athens.
Yeah.
What's going on in Athens?
Right, parades and floods and
gosh, floods.
everything.
Yeah.
And there were also, I didn't, this wasn't part of Kaleidoscope, but I did some of the slave work in the back for the show. We had young producers, so we had a show called Young Producers. We had one called Blue Light Special, and we had one where kids in their home would have a little drama.
Oh, like we used to do. Put
And
it
they
on.
could call, people could call in and talk. So,
Live on the air?
uh-huh.
Wow, that's dangerous. That'd be very dangerous today,
Yeah.
I think. Probably not so much so 20 years ago.
I think maybe now we have an interceptor,
Yeah,
but
should have a 3-second delay anyway.
maybe Big Jim used it once, but when I was on, I know that Harry Shovnick was on too, and I was taking calls, and one of them said, "Why don't you get off the air?" And I said, "Thank you," and hung up.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Oh, golly.
He could have changed channels.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a free TV. You just go clickety-click or click with your remote and on you go. So what do you think in your early years was your biggest disaster? What's the thing when I say, did you have a disaster? What do you think of? I know for me, I was you encouraged me to tape stuff, and I didn't want to, and I wasn't really, I had no background in that or anything else. My biggest disaster was trying to tape out my car window and dropping the camera out the car window as I was driving. I almost ran over it, but I didn't. And it survived, folks, believe it or not. I dropped it right on the road and drove on, and then I ran back, and it was still going. And then it fell on the ground, and it was still going, so it survived. I don't know. I should have written to that camera company and told them, you know, what a wonderful camera that was.
Biggest disaster. You know, I have a defense mechanism that helps me not remember those things.
Oh, goodness. Well, you know, I think because of the kind of show this is, and it's totally live, I mean, we have no 3-second delay or anything else, interviewing people can be a little tricky sometimes because you don't know what they're going to say.
Well, over the phone, but in person, I think you can hold your own.
Yeah, for sure. But over the phone, I mean, they're anonymous on the phone, so you don't know what
I
they're going
haven't
to say.
encouraged that.
Well, I don't know how the person, I mean, there's a lot of this on the internet. They call them internet trolls, you know, they get on somebody's Facebook page and make nasty comments and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how that helps anybody or why people do it, but they do it. And I'm sure today, if we had a live call-in show, we would have some trolls. And some of you are probably out there thinking, oh, get a live call-in show. Let me call in and tell you how ugly you are,
one of us
whatever.
might commit suicide.
Ha Not me. Over that, or probably anything else. But I used to tell my husband, if somebody ever tells you that I jumped off a building to commit suicide, you'll know that's a lie, because I want to make a good corpse. There's no way I'm going to jump off a building and kill myself. Get all smashed up. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. Okay, so we fast forward. Did you have any other co-host besides me?
Well, I guess not to call co-host, but I think that I've been on with John Cook, and I have been on with Indian Charlie, and I've had visitors. Jan Hillegas came and played the piano and sang some of her original songs, and I'm probably blanking out, but
It's your defense mechanism.
yeah. But you know, back there about 20 years ago, my feet were hurting.
Oh, well, I bet.
And the more I got into public access, my feet quit hurting.
Really? Didn't have
Really.
time to think about them, huh?
Right, that's right.
Well, I think this is really a wonderful thing because it's totally free. It is free. You can do whatever you want to, within reason, of course, because it has to be broadcast. But just like you said earlier, it was a great creative opportunity to do something that maybe you would have never done otherwise. You know, probably you wouldn't have done otherwise. And when Nan asked me if I wanted to be on the show, like I say, I didn't know it was going to be forever. I had no idea what this was. I never heard of it. I was completely at sea. So I came in here and sat down, and you interviewed me, and I don't remember what we talked about. And I thought, oh, well, that was interesting. That was fun. Kind of like The View, you know, with the TV show with all the women. They have hot topics and all that. And, you know, so as I got, I don't know, familiar with it and I began to understand it, I realized that for me, the thing I like to do is interview people.
Just talk, let's face it.
Well, let's face it, yeah. Talk to other people, but I don't want to talk by myself. A lot of people do talk by themselves, but I don't like that. So, but you'd rather video, right? You really like the video aspect.
Yes, and I can still do some of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, that's the thing that I don't like. I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't enjoy going to an event and having to see it behind a camera. I like to go and experience it. And if I could then, I would get the person and bring them here and interview them. You know what I mean? For me, that would be the fun thing. But you know what I remember? One of the things that we showed here was your tape of belly dancing. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. I thought that was something. I didn't know there was any belly dancing in Athens, Ohio.
Oh, that was the Women's Day celebration, but also the International Women's Festival.
Yeah.
They had quite a bit of that too.
They did. So. And I just didn't know it existed. And here there's a lady that teaches it here, right, in Athens, that teaches belly dancing. So if you want to learn belly dancing, it's possible to do it here in Athens, Ohio.
And she could come here and demonstrate, and you could see it over your television.
Exactly. From your addiction to Kaleidoscope, you could learn to belly dance. It's not easy.
We haven't touched upon, but I think that access is short on programs that produce art, like sculpting on camera or painting on camera or making those designs like Ken Bodo that I did on camera. I think that's, I've tried a couple of things which are, I forget what you call them, but anyway, stream of consciousness kind of things. And I haven't been satisfied with them, but anyway.
Well, as a matter of fact, one of the things I thought about doing was cooking. A cooking show. I have a friend who's a big, you know, interested in cooking and recipes and all that kind of thing. And I thought, well, that's something we've never had, is a cooking demonstration or a discussion, even a discussion of cooking. So I may try that if you want to call that art.
Check out Patricia Ercolino. She is working with Arlene Basil now, and they have probably 2 shows taped right here.
Mm-hmm. It started today.
It did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll have to watch.
How do you know?
A little bird told me.
Oh, okay. That's
Well,
good. That's good, because I know you don't watch Access. See, I'm telling on you.
I think everybody knows that. I remember I told you Oprah had a show for 25 years. 25 years. Get that? She only watched one of her shows. And I get that. If I watch myself, I hate myself. So it's not good for me to watch. I could watch other stuff on Access, but not myself. So now, Nan, unless you have something you want to add, let's go to the Nan retrospective, or should I say Natasha/Nan retrospective. You ready?
I reckon if Matt is.
Okay, ready or not, here we go.
Award that is a complete surprise to everyone. Our community producer Natasha, who is on my right, is up to her 25th episode of Athens Kaleidoscope. You might have seen it around, shown places and things that are pretty familiar to everybody that lives in Athens, and it's good to see them on television. So we're presenting a certificate of appreciation
Shucks.
to Natasha, and
Thank you very
bowing our hats.
Oh, well, thank you. Very nice.
So we want to recognize this kind of excellence is rarely matched in the Access world, where 25 shows are produced. Is really sticking with it, I think. It's
Exceeded only by our camera person now, Doug Murphy. The students are back. Probably noticed. Maybe you're one of them.
Well, I've always been one. But this young man, he asked me if I was one. It's the first time I just come out and said yes. Never thought about it being. Being unfortunate or something to be ashamed of, but I guess I'm about the only one on Access. So it's true. I'm a townie. I don't guess I'm too proud of it. I'd like to be one of these college kids. One of these OU people. But I'm on cable access anyway. And I had a birthday Friday. $54. That's what you were wondering, isn't it? You're probably too polite to say it, but what's an old woman like me doing on cable access? Why don't I spend my time puttering? Puttering, that's a good one. Puttering around the house or around the garden or puttering around in my housecoat and my bedroom slippers. That's what you were thinking, wasn't it? Or blowing the noses of my grandchildren. Or canning. Or quilting. Dusting. Or tying strings. Or wrapping things well, or straightening my drawers, well, to tell you the truth, none of those things holds a candle to cable access. It's more fun than just about anything that's available to an old townie.
Right to life, that's a lie. You don't care how women die. Right to life, that's a lie. Women die. Right to life, that's a lie. You don't care if women die. Right to life, that's a lie. You don't care if women die. Right to life, that's a lie.
On the occasion of the first anniversary of Athens Kaleidoscope, it seemed appropriate to remember some of the happenings during the past year and some of the appearances on Athens Kaleidoscope.
A lot of old, slate off of barns that had been torn down and used it to do a nice pattern on the roof there. And this is a family as well, married couple with, this is true of all of the groups, pretty much at Sunflower. I think maybe a couple people are still single individuals that live there, but for the most part they're, married families with children.
Now this Hi, welcome to Kaleidoscope. Tim Brent. Tim is a graduate student at a higher university, visiting with us today to tell us about Tai Chi. How did you get interested in Tai Chi, Tim?
Well, a woman came in and she was blind, and she gave a talk on what it was like for her to experience life being blind. And she was blind, she became blind somewhere along the way. So she had experienced some of life with her sight. So she had a feel for what it was, and she could look at you when she was talking. She had known that in the past.
How to orient.
Right, and follow voices and with that. And what she found was she was becoming uncomfortable with her body in space and moving through darkness. And what she found was Tai Chi. So, resting your hands here on
We'll be seeing a couple of numbers you may call to ask questions of our guests, Kim and Mike. Kim is a person with HIV and Mike is a person with AIDS. First, they're going to tell us their story.
They called my wife at work and had her come over, and that's when the doctor informed me that, without my knowledge, that he had tested me for the AIDS virus and that I had tested positive and I had full-blown AIDS. At this time, my wife was 22 weeks pregnant, and they tested her, and within 2 weeks, we had her test results back that she was HIV positive.
Very good. All of this is within the first about half hour of Natasha riding the Recyclomobile with Pearl Gilkey on Saturday. A late day because of Labor Day on Monday. To fill up with recycled materials. Cardboard here. That's green glass, aluminum cans in there. What's in this one? This is clear glass, huh? Clear glass. Okay. To separate the aluminum and bimetal if they get mixed up together.
Through the can crusher, it has a magnet on it.
Oh, it does.
It separates them automatically.
It does.
Today we celebrate yours. Today we take note. Things on this earth are dying. The earth is struggling to bring forth new life.
It's Indian choice.
Hello, Natasha. How are you this evening?
Oh,
Do you have one of these outfits?
no, I don't. I'm real unhappy that I don't. How'd you get all these little green things?
Well, one time I was laid off for a short period of time, and I went to work at a cemetery. And we have to clean the cemetery off every now and then, and all the decorations and stuff, they have a lot of these leaves on them. And when I started making this camouflage to bow hunt all the time, I thought about those leaves and stuff, so I go around to some of the area cemeteries when they clean them off, and that's where I pick up these leaves and stuff, and they really do a good job.
They certainly do.
And it doesn't cost anything, see, they've just thrown them all away and stuff. I made it also.
The mask?
Yeah, if you go and buy them and stuff, they want about $6 or $7 for them, so I went ahead and just made this one. Just took camouflage, tree bark camouflage, and put little Velcros on it, and just cut a small hole in it and one to breathe through and stuff, and it works real nice.
I was in the 3rd grade. I rode a horse to school.
You did?
Ours was a pony, but we all had a pony and also had a horse, but we kept it in a stall behind the school. We rode 3 miles because we were about further from school than about anybody. And then my sister would go and get the horse in the afternoon and bring it around, and I'd get on the school steps and ride home behind her. One time while I was waiting for her to get the horse, she started in the 1st year of high school, which was upstairs in the big brick building. The year that I started 1st grade, so I always felt the eyes were upon me, but she went to get the horse, and the principal knew I was his student's little sister, so I got a lot of attention. And a chicken passed by, and he said, if I'd catch that chicken, he'd give me a nickel. So I chased it into the toilet and caught it and brought it back to him.
Here they go. 1989 Rocky draft race is on.
You're a grand old flag, you're
Nan Michael, and we're going to do a little experimenting today with a program. Why don't you come on over here, Jane?
Okay.
You made it.
I made it. It's amazing.
We're going to do a little experimenting, and going to start out, since this is a new enterprise, we're experimenting with what this is going to be. We're going to try out some of the new settings at cable access, and look at there.
A map of the world.
Yeah. Hi, this is Nan Michael with Kaleidoscope. My co-producer, Jane Pinwell, is not with us this week, but I won't be with her next week. But what we're having today is a happening, a real live happening in the studio at Public Access.
Hello and welcome to Athens Kaleidoscope. You see there's an empty chair here next to me. Nan is not with us today. She went to Virginia for Easter and left me here to do Kaleidoscope all by myself. Here it is. The full title of the book is, shoot. I had it in my head, it is gone. Anyhow, you can go to lulu.com.
Today the show is a little unorthodox because these are unorthodox times. I'm thrilled to have a guest on the program today, my first celebrity guest. So welcome to Sandy Plunkett, famous cartoonist. Believe it or not, this is Nan Michael on Kaleidoscope, fresh in from the fair, the Athens County Fair, and my co-producer is fresh in from World Travels.
From Nassau, the Bahamas.
Hello, Athens. Welcome to Kaleidoscope. Well, I'm just delighted to have Charlie Grubbs in the studio with me today. Charlie used to be the producer of his own show, and he was known as Indian Charlie then. And this is Nan Michael, and we have our co-producer with us today, Jane Pinwell, and we have a guest, Alexa.
Good job, Nan.
Alexa, back from her 9-month couch surfing
expedition,
safari, or whatever. Yeah, it's an adult bib.
I thought it was going to be an apron.
It's a bib. See, and it
I
worked.
see you've
There's
used
a
it.
stain that was not on my blouse. See
Who
there?
made this?
Well, I told my children I wanted a bunch of adult bibs because really, I have stains on some nice things. And so my daughter, Sally, went out and bought some pretty tea towels. And this is from a garter belt that she bought.
Well, she's so clever.
She is, yes. And I was thinking about selling them on the internet, but some style setter needs to start the ball rolling. And so I was thinking about, well, let's see, Phyllis Diller died.
Yeah. Betty White. Betty White.
Oh, Betty White, you think she might do it?
Well, she's in her 90s.
Yeah,
She probably has
you-
similar problems.
If you just have someone start the bowl rolling, the bowl rolling, ball. And so I decided the internet and eBay was just out of my range, but I'm sharing this with the Athens community. And one of these days I might get up nerve just to put on one in a restaurant. Okay, well, let's go to Videoland.
Videoland. A place where I rarely travel.
Pardon?
I said the things I do for Kaleidoscope.
Well, this is for your health, too.
No, right, yeah. Sure it is. My health, well, I doubt be improved by this. But how far do you have to run? You have to bicycle something like 3 miles to burn 100 calories or something, you know? Anybody who doesn't know how to ride a bicycle should not try this. Let me say that.
Should not ride it?
No.
Why?
Because it's very much like riding a bicycle, and if you don't know how, I don't think this would be very good to start with.
Isn't a tricycle safe? We have a surprise for you today in the studio. We have none other than old friend Steve Zarati, who is listed on Kaleidoscope as a member of the production team.
I do help out once in a while, it's true.
And that is because we play his song so often, the public access song, which I believe he was going to play last in his series of playings today. Is there another word for playings?
Selections, maybe.
Selections today. Steve,
Well,
I knew him in the old, I don't know when I first met you, maybe at Linda Hiller's house.
Late 80s, early 90s, something like that.
Uh-huh, very long ago.
Yes, and as Nan well knows, right when the station was getting started, I came up and she shot, I don't know, about an hour's worth of footage of me sitting on a couch playing, and one of the reasons I did it is because I'd just written that song. And shoot, yeah, it's true, I was going to save it for last, but why not start off the show with that one? You want to do that one?
Okay.
Want to get it going?
All right.
Song I wrote called Some Public Access, and some of you might have, you know, I went away to Alaska for 5 years, from 92 to 97. When I came back, people said, "You're the guy who does that song on the public." That you must have played it over and over for years. I don't know how many years, but here's an updated version. Here we go. I was feeling low down, dirty and mean, 'cause I'd been working deep inside the big machine. Tried to find some honest answers on the television box, but nobody there would listen. They just talk, 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 until one night, quite by accident, I found, while remotely flipping channels all around, it was my friend from down the street, and he was sitting on a couch. He was playing his guitar, and he was letting it all hang out. And he sang, "You can do it too. You can do what I'm doing. You can put your message on community TV."
Oh, marvelous,
Oh,
marvelous,
thank you,
marvelous.
Pam, yeah.
I love it.
Go.
Matt, you caught me with a Tootsie Pop in my mouth. You went too early. What will my personal trainer say?
I didn't know you had a personal trainer.
Don't I look like it?
Do I have to answer that question? I was going to be jealous because I'd love to have a personal trainer.
Well, I haven't been here for a while. Last week they played our very first show.
No kidding.
And I thought, boy, I sure looked younger. And I was younger.
There you go. Usually I look at pictures and I think, I have my memories.
All right. Thank you for my cookie and my balloons.
You're welcome.
And I need to apologize to you because I think that I have taken you for granted or given you a hard time at times. And I regret that. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. I probably can't remember it anyway. So.
Oh, all right. You got my defense mechanism. Okay, Athens. Goodbye. You can wave too.
Goodbye. Farewell. Actually, you'll see me again, so I'm not saying. I'm just saying goodbye for today. I'll be back next week. I said I wasn't going to say anything. I said I wasn't going to say anything. I talked, but there you go.